Hello. Hello, my queens, and welcome back. Welcome back to XSM. As you know, that's X in a Single Mom podcast. And, I was thinking, I deliver this podcast with a little bit of sugar and a little bit of spice. And I'm your host, Yasmin Thomas. And today we're going to continue with our mini series, our Single Mom Summer Reset. If you recall, or hopefully you listened to it, in the first episode of this series, we talked about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your peace. But today, my queens, if you don't mind, we're going to go a little deeper. We're going to be talking about the woman beyond mom and how to connect to parts of yourself that may seem to have been pushed aside while you're handling everybody and everything. So let's be clear. And we've talked about this before, but now we're going to talk about it in this premise. Being a mother is an important part of who you are, absolutely. But it's not the only part of who you are. I saw a commercial, and it was a mom and her kids. And it was funny because they said to the world, when they see her, they see a mom. But to the kids, the mom is their world. But the part that struck me was thinking that's what they saw first. So even though you're a mom and you're a whole woman before motherhood, so I think that deserves a little bit of attention, and you need to take a little bit of time to just breathe. We talk about that sometimes too. So my queens, let's talk about finding your way back to yourself. And I'm not going to assume you lost yourself, but I did lose a little piece of me, so I'm just sharing with you what I understand. I don't want you by any means to abandon any of your responsibilities. But I want you to also remember that you matter too. And both things can be true at the same time. Here's what I don't want. And I was so glad that I was aware of that. And I had a mentor that let me know and kept me in check. My Nan, that when you're a mom, it's not your whole identity. It's another part of your identity. Because what I've learned is that motherhood can slowly take over every corner of your identity. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Your calendar, it's filled up with events and things you have to do for the children. Think about it. Your money has a whole job of leaving your hands for the most part, almost before you even get it. Your thoughts, your whole mindset is filled with appointments, meals, school, work, bills, transportation, behavior, yours, the kids, everybody else, safety, and whatever else everybody needs next. So after a while, somebody should ask, and that may be you through this podcast, what do you enjoy? What do you want? And for some of you, you may not even know how to answer that because everything is wrapped up into being a mom, and nothing's wrong with that. However, and it doesn't even mean you don't love your children. It means that you may be operating in responsibility mode for so long that your wants and needs have become dim and quiet. And that's the whole part of this podcast. Sometimes the woman behind the mom doesn't even realize that she disappeared. And I thought this out for a long time, and I kept thinking, when I felt like I was starting to disappear, what was it? It's things that used to make me feel good no longer did. I wasn't as invested with my friends, which is natural, but it didn't mean I had to ignore them. Sometimes you're tired or embarrassed. And life, let's face it, especially in 2026, it's just complicated. You stop making plans because something always comes up. And more importantly, I started thinking, like, for a moment there, I stopped dreaming. I don't know if you stopped dreaming, but I wanted to mention it because I think survival felt more urgent, and that does have a place, but I'll say a place as well. So you also stop asking yourself just certain things about you. But just remember, even through all of this, the woman is still there. And that's what I want to hone in on. And reconnecting to yourself, it isn't selfish. I know I've talked before about self-care, and I think that term has become like synonymous with like the buzzword, but it is really important. And a busy woman, a very busy woman, because I know it because it worked for me. Just like there's the children's appointments on the calendar and your dentist and your doctor and your car has to be inspected. You also have to put on your calendar some time for you. And you can call it self-care, plain and simple. And self-care means something different to everyone. My point is, I want you to reconnect with yourself. And self-care is bigger than just a bubble bath or a special manicure or quiet afternoon by yourself, even though those things are important. So don't get me wrong. But I want you to enjoy those things, but I also want you to reconnect with yourself and ask yourself, who are you outside of being a mom? Because for me, I missed a part of myself. I want you to start thinking, what makes you comfortable? What are you curious about? What does peace mean to you? And don't postpone things that still matter to you. Just figure out a way to make it happen. And I will be having some workshops and some different things that'll help my moms with that. And what I want you to know is you have to also ask yourself, what would make me feel like me again? Because I stopped feeling like me for just a little bit. But if I wanted to be honest, it was really like a lot. So I want you to understand that if you ask yourself these questions or anything in the vicinity, you're not being selfish. You're being honest. And when you're honest, totally honest, that's where change starts. So being a mother doesn't mean you have to sacrifice yourself. And what I mean by that is like your interests, setting certain boundaries, whatever brings you joy, your friendships, your goals, and a sense of your woman identity. Because you can be all of those things. Mother, career, whatever you might want to do past the children. If you have any entrepreneur or education goals, you can still do that. Becoming a mom doesn't erase being a woman. And I think sometimes that happens. Not for everybody. I'm just sharing some things that I know and what happened to me. So if you've listened to this podcast before, you know I'm a trainer and a professor, so I'm always thinking of things to make you think. So what I want to do now is a small little exercise. And I want you to think of it as 5 or 6 ways, a few ways to reconnect with yourself. The first thing I want you to do is remember who you are. And I remember when I saw that movie, Black Panther, that mom said, and she roared, remember who you are. And it may sound cliche, but I want my moms to always remember who they are. All right, so think back. Just think back what did you used to do for fun? Who did you used to talk to for hours? Like, what music did you listen to? And what dreams did you have? There's nothing wrong with tapping into that, even though you're still a mom. So what you have to do is grow. The woman can grow while you're being a mom. But here's what I also know. some old interests you had or things you did, they may not fit. So you can discard those. But what I want you to do actually is to just think and think what is important. I don't want you to go backwards unless there's something like for me, I had to put my education on hold. I didn't get my degree until my children were grown. So you may have to reach back for something. So, but you have an idea of what's good to reach back for and what's not. Because that was a personal tidbit and a story of mine. I could not balance being a divorced single mom, dealing with my ex and my my two sons. So I had to postpone my education. But my son and I walked across the stage and got our bachelor's a year apart from each other. Okay, moms? That's food for thought. Okay, enough about me. I want you to give yourself and think about one small thing that belongs only to you. It could be a small side hustle, because I used to sell art because I loved art. It could be content, like what I'm doing. It could be, I have a friend that loves to cook. I have another friend that loves to give events. So just think about one thing that's uniquely yours, and we're going to grow that and feed that. It could be something as small, especially with online courses. Maybe you could take a course at night. I particularly became involved with gardening. That's a thought. Some people journal. Some people just simply, I had a family we loved. We just danced in the kitchen. I had another friend, a single mom, who decided to learn a new language. Someone else decided to catch up on all their old movies. So giving yourself and figuring out one small thing that belongs to you is unique to every mom listening to me. And remember, you have to be consistent, and you can just start small. All right, the third thing. Remember, I said 3 or 4. Stop waiting until everyone else is satisfied. And here's what I mean. There may never be a day that your children are totally happy. Every bill is handled and taken care of like it's supposed to be. Your place is clean. Any task that you have, they're all finished. Everyone who requires things from you, they all have it. If you wait for total peace before you make room for yourself, I hate to tell you, moms, you may be waiting forever. So find a way to reconnect with you and find that little piece of time or whatever you want to call it, or a combination of both, just for you. And remember, sometimes the dishes may still be there. You could do those in the morning. Take time for you to, what I used to like to say, woosah. And I think every mom, every day, needs at least 30 minutes to herself. That's another tip. That's what I did, no matter what. Sometimes I just sat in the bathroom and did nothing with the door closed for 30 minutes. Nobody knew I wasn't doing nothing in there. What I was doing in there was woosahing, okay? All right. And remember that everything doesn't have to be perfect or complete or whatever. And moms, you're still allowed to be a woman. That woman exists. Another tip, or number 4 or 5, I forgot where we were. Rebuild relationships that continue to feed in and nourish you. I think I talked to my queens earlier. I was blessed to have a village. I had my family, and I had my godmom, my best girlfriend's family. So reach toward those people and allow them to help you if that's what they want. And remember, a circle of love, comfort, and support, it doesn't have to be big. You may just have one honest, true friend, one relative, 2 or 3 people in the support group that you started. Yeah, I said it. I'm planting a seed for future episodes. One mentor. You need a mentor. I know we live in a time where people think, oh, that's old fashioned. I don't need that. She don't know nothing. Yes, she does. If she's successful, like someone like me, there is so much wisdom inside of this vessel. So just remember, a community, and everyone's community looks different. In your community, normally you're seen. And as single moms, we need that. All right. Another thing I want to say is pay attention to how you really feel when you spend time with certain people. Because sometimes you have to let certain things go. Do you feel supported and happy, or lighter, respected, encouraged? And it's always important so you feel understood. But I had someone in my life that was toxic, even though I loved them. But I realized that being with them made me feel drained, made me feel judged. In a small way, even though I knew I was all that, somehow I felt a little smaller. So you have to recognize that as well. So what I want you to do is reconnect. And that's mainly what this episode is about. Reconnect with yourself. And what that may mean is you have to be more selective in who you bless to have access to you. All right. Number 5. I think we're on number 5. A personal calendar. I want you to create sort of like a, how do they call that? I forgot what the name of it is, but like a vision board. Kind of do that. And think about what you want to do in the future. And it could be 5 years, 10 years, whatever the future is for you. Maybe you could do both, short term, long term. Maybe you want to finish a degree, start a business, combination of both, change careers. Make sure you travel more. Travel's so enlightening, even though you got to be a little bit more careful these days. But anyway, improve your health. I used to be a gym rat. You couldn't even tell it now. But anyway, that's important. Learn something new. Like for me, and the reason that this podcast even exists is I'm a lifelong time person of learning something new. Maybe return to church. Create a little personal space in your home, like a corner, a room. I don't care, a giant closet, like a spot just for you. Something that can make you feel like yourself again. Or if you feel like yourself, develop another part of you. And remember that dreams don't become real if you think about them every once in a while. You have to take deliberate steps. So I also want you to make sure that you give yourself a real reality check. What I'm saying, moms, is that I'm not simply telling you also to just take time for yourself. Make sure it's quality time. Sometimes we need to be motivated. Hopefully this podcast does that. You may need a little extra daycare. It used to be 1 day a week that I didn't work, but I still took my son to daycare because I needed that 1 day. All right. Think about community resources. And I also want you to also in your life, and we'll dive deeper into this because right now this is just like a talk, a conversation, an overview. You might have to set stronger boundaries with people. And I also want you to have positive conversations with the co-parent. And yes, it is possible. You have to be a straight shooter. You have to say, stop all the noise. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to talk about that. Let's do X, Y, Z for our child. That's it. No more, no less. Sometimes you have to put your foot down. Putting your foot down works really well, by the way. All right. So another thing I want you to do as we talk about reconnecting, you have to realize that sometimes you can't carry all of this by yourself. And admitting that you need help, actually, it's not a weakness, it's strength. Being honest is being strong. All right, we're starting to wind down. And I have an assignment for you. Yes! That's the instructor in me. I want you to either record this, take out a piece of paper, open up the notes on your phone or your iPad. If you're driving, no, listen to this again, okay? And I want you to Write down these sentences I'm giving you. Yes, I told you I was a trainer. I told you what I do. I want you, for these 4 sentences, to write down. And you write the rest to what I'm saying. This week, I will give myself permission to. You fill out the rest. One thing I must experience before the year ends is. You write what it is. A real important one. I miss the version of me who was. And last but not least, I feel most like myself when. All right? And don't overthink it. I want you to at first write down the first thing that the first answer that you come out with, and then you can ponder on it later. So remember, everyone, that my queens, that before you know it, you can make a change in a week. And I don't want you to look at things as someday, or when the children get older, or when this happens and that, because sometimes that stuff don't even happen. I want you to please take my advice and start thinking about these things and work on this exercise within the next 7 days. So, we're coming to the home stretch. Queens, remember, you're not the only one who packs lunches and pays bills and solves problems and keeps appointments and makes sacrifices that no one sees. You are a queen, a beautiful woman that gave life. You made a person. Think about it like that. You have a history. You got your own wonderful personality. And the life that you live, it has purpose. And more importantly, you have a future. So my queens, I don't want you to choose between loving your children and loving your own life, because you can do both. You just have to learn how. So I want this summer to be a true reset. Organize your schedule. All right? Return to the things that brought you joy, even if it's just laughing, whatever interests you have. Get your confidence back. Find your peace. Solidify your goals. And remember, there's other parts of you that you may neglect, and they deserve attention too. The woman, the female behind mom, she's not gone. She's just a little tired, and she's waiting to come out. You're still there, and let's welcome her back. All right, my queens, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for spending time with me. And this has been another episode of X and the Single Mom Podcast, also known as XSM. And if this podcast spoke to you in any way, please share it with another single mom who may need it. And especially this episode, she may need to be reminded that she matters. And I want to hear from you. I want to connect with you. You can reach out to me via email, and that is xsmpodcast@gmail.com. And you also know that I have a website that I designed just for you, and that is xandthesinglemom.com. So I never say goodbye. I want to say so long for now. So long, my queens. So long. And thank you so much for listening to another episode of XSM Podcast. So long.